Hi, and thanks for joining me today. This is Mike, and today I'm going to show you how I made this Orchid box card. I really like how this came together, and it was actually really easy to do. So we'll go ahead and I will show you how I went ahead and assembled it and how I inked and made the colors on the actual orchids. Today's video is also part of a video hop for Just Cards Video Hop, so please make sure you see the description box below for all the other videos in the video hop. And the theme for this hop was flowers, so I thought this file would be a perfect file. With that being said, let's go ahead and get started. Alright, now here's the majority of the tools and supplies that I'm going to go ahead and use. I am using the file, an SVG file from Simply Crafty SVGs, and as always I'll go ahead and leave links in the description box below. For the cardstock, for the colored cardstock, I am using American Crafts cardstock in 80-pound weight that is textured. For that pattern paper, the purple pattern paper is just some stash that I had left over. And for the white is Neenah Solar Crest. I am using the Happy Birthday set from Anthony's Papercraft. And here's just some more of the white pieces that I will be using. Those would be the actual orchid flowers. And this will end up being the base of the card. So that is for the cardstock. I am going to use some Q-tips to go ahead and do the orchid flowers in a little bit. And now for the inks, I'm using the Distress Oxide in Worn Lipstick. I have a purple and a yellow. These are old ink pads from Hobby Lobby. Stampin' Up! Fresh Fig. And the Distress inks, I'm using Mowed Lawn and Squeezed Lemonade. Alright, so normally the first thing that I do is ink my edges. On this one, I decided that I was going to go ahead and glue this piece on first, just to give it a little bit, my paper that I used was a little thin, and you'll see later, and I'll point it out when I get to that part of the video, I ended up adding an extra piece to the back of this because my paper was thin, just to make sure that it stood up upright properly. So I went ahead and I glued this on first just so that it was a little easier for me to ink. Otherwise it would have been a little bit of a thin piece. So I'm going to go ahead and ink up all my edges. You don't have to ink your edges, but as you can see, I think it gives it a really good look. It gives it a lot of dimension, and I get a lot of compliments when I ink the edges. It doesn't take a lot of extra time, just gets your hands inky, but it's part of the job, right? So I've sped most of this video up considerably because there's a lot of different processes involved. So I'm going to go ahead and let the music play, and then I'll jump back in and let you guys know what I'm doing. Alright, now that is it for inking. I decided now I'm going to go ahead and jump into stamping, and you're going to see me do something that might scare you. I am going to cut my stamp in half. Well, not really in half, but I'm separating the happy and the birthday as they were in a horizontal line, and I'm going to repeat that just so that you can see it. Sometimes you got to alter your tools and supplies to make them work for you in different ways. So I just went ahead and took some sharp scissors and separated there where the happy and the birthday were separated by a space there, I can go ahead and mount that normally and use that as intended, but in this case I wanted the happy to be on top of the birthday, and as you can see, it worked out perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp that with my Fresh Fig ink a couple times until it gets nice and bold there. And now I'm going to go jump into the flowers. So the first thing I'm going to do is take my worn lipstick and the Q-tip there, and I'm going to go ahead and do the centers. So I thought that I would have the centers pink and the outsides yellow. And as you can see, I made a mistake there, and that's why there's two sides. Just go ahead and flip the paper over and do it again. Nobody's ever going to see that other side. So I'm going to go ahead and ink up all of the centers with the worn lipstick. And it does really look like a hot mess here. I actually thought that I was a little worried there for myself. But once it all was done, I think it really came together really nicely. And like I always say, I'm really happy with the way it turned out. So I'm going to go ahead and now I am using the squeezed lemonade on the edges and just a little bit dotting it here and there, just like an orchid would look. Orchids are one of my favorite flowers. I can never get one to bloom after I receive one or buy one, so what better than to make your own, right? So now I'm going ahead and I'm pinching the leaves just in the center there and kind of like rolling it around my fingers a little bit, and you'll see there that I'm kind of putting it on the way that it's intended to go. So I just put a drop of glue in the center of that, and then I put the other one or the other piece on top and kind of just give it a little bit more dimension by folding it as well. Now I'm going to go ahead and take the stamen and do the same exact thing. Put a little dab of glue in the middle of the flower and place that on. Bam, we got a flower. So I'm going to go ahead and repeat that 2 more times. Just put the dot of glue in the middle, put the other piece on top, bend it a little bit, go do the other one, and then I will go ahead and put the stamens on that. Alright, so now it's time to apply the leaves as well as the flowers. So I'm just going to go ahead and use my Scotch Quick Dry there and apply the leaves, overlapping just a little bit in the middle there, 2 of the leaves. And then I'm going to go ahead and attach the buds just with a little bit of glue. Just a couple drops there on each one and put those on top. And now when you go ahead and put the flowers on, there's really not a right or wrong way because it's nature and nature is different. There's not a right or wrong way. So if you're not sure how, or if you haven't seen how an orchid grows, it's definitely something you can Google. So you want it to look close to what an orchid does. So if you're not sure, just Google. Google is your best friend here. So here I am. I'm going to go ahead and fold the box on the score lines, and then I'm going to go ahead and apply my pattern paper. This part is probably the easiest part, is just applying the pattern paper to the box card here. Now this piece, it goes on the bottom and it's made to look like the saucer of the pot. So it's a box card, but it kind of looks like a potted orchid as well. I think that gives it a nice little touch. So that piece we are going to put last because it hides the seam that we glued onto the inside. And then if you wanted to, you could go ahead and add the piece to the back. You could stamp on it, you could handwrite on it, or you could use your machine to use a pen or whatnot to write. I chose not to in this video, so that's why you didn't see me put that on. So I'm going to go ahead and use some foam tape that I have, and I'm going to center the happy birthday, and then I'm going to apply that right to the front there. Perfect. Now, the very last thing that we need to do is add our plant. So as you can see here, I did, like I said earlier in the video, I added that black piece to the back just to make sure that it was extra stable, and I think that really did the trick. So that piece was 110 pound of Neenah black cardstock, and that really kept it upright really nicely. So now all I need to do is fold the tabs back and then go ahead and apply some glue to those tabs. So I'm going to do one side, and then I'm going to apply glue to the other side, and then insert that into the box. And now when I'm putting it into the box, I want to make sure that the edges of that tab are flush with the back of the box and flush with the top of that box. So you can just see I'm going to kind of maneuver it a little bit to make sure that the back is touching the back and the sides are touching the top. You want to make sure that they're even so that it folds really nicely. And so there you go. It is in, and that is the completed box card. It's pretty quick and pretty simple. I did speed the video up quite a bit just because the inking took a lot of time, but this really wasn't a long card to actually put together. So there is my finished card. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. Please don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. And remember, this is part of the Just Cards video hop. So please see the description box below for all the videos that are going to be on this hop. Thanks all, and have a great day.